Do you know that heaven is real? I'm interviewing McCormack, who 40 years ago was clinically dead for 20 minutes and experienced heaven. Come on a journey with me. This is a 2-part series on heaven is real. There is life after death. Today you are in for a treat. We're talking with McCormack about his near-death experience. Ian, it is so great to have you here with us today. And I'm remembering it was about a year ago that we met in Wellington. We were ministering together at a conference, and you know, your experience about dying, getting stung by jellyfish, 5-box jellyfish, being stung and dying, and then going to heaven, it just so captivated me. And I just really would love to hear I know our audience would love to hear the story. So what happened to you?
It was back in 1982, so nearly 40 years ago.
Wow.
And I was in the island of Mauritius, and I'd been surfing around the world for 2 years. I'd watched a movie called Endless Summer, and I thought, yeah, I'm sick of winters. I'm sick of full steamers and hoodies and boots, wetsuits, so I'd love to just have board shorts and surf a world. And so I'd spent 2 years traveling around the world, Indonesia, Australia, Mauritius, Sri Lanka, South Africa. And I was coming back for my brother's wedding, and I stopped back in Mauritius with my Creole friends who I'd lived with the year before and surfed with. And we did a lot of surfing in a place called Tamarin Bay. And near there was phenomenal diving. All along the outer reef, you could see turquoise colored water, and beautiful. I mean, stunning. And so we would night dive also. And this particular night was the 19th of April, 1982. I went for a night dive like I'd done with them on the outer reef at a place called Rivière Noire, Ile de Mont. And as I dived in, we swam into thousands of box jellyfish. So I had heard about them in Australia, but I'd never seen the pictures of them. In those years, of course, there's no internet and no Google. It was just encyclopedias and very few photographs of them. I'd watched every Jacques Cousteau program on TV. I was a lifeguard, surfer, diver, fisherman. My mum thought I had fish blood in me. And so as I swam into them, unfortunately, my wetsuit was short-sleeve vest, so my forearms are exposed. I had leather gloves to get the craze. And I got hit by 5 of them. I had to protect my face from being hit near the throat. And it felt like thousands of volts of electricity, excruciating pain. When I got out of the water, my arm was up double its normal size and blistered. It looked like I'd been burnt underwater or whipped. The fishermen, these Creole fishermen, went white. And these guys are Rastafarians. These are Peter Tosh, Bob Marley boys. I said, don't worry, man, be happy. Smoke more hashish. And I say, yeah, these are Cheech and Chong boys, you know. Yeah. And suddenly they're looking at me and they go, mate, that's one of these will kill you. And I went, what? They said, how many? I went, 5 visa. He said, impossible. Allez, vite. My limited French, un petit peu, knew I need to get to the hospital in Quatre-Bons.
Yeah. We're
in the middle of the night on an outer reef. Buses, the local buses where I'm living, which the Creoles use, stop at 6. So I'm thinking, what the heck? And as they got me into the boat, told me to urinate on my forearm, which I found out later helps to cause the microscopic neurotoxin tentacles to release and get off.
Right.
It doesn't stop the poison that's already gone in, but it stops more poison being injected into your body. And so I got to shore, tried to stand up, and absolutely collapsed. I found the right-hand side of my body was already paralyzed. The young kid who'd taken me to shore, because we had no outboard motor, they poled me through. He tried to carry me. And I don't know how he did it, but he got me up on the main road. The other divers had told the kid to go because they had no motor, to take me alone. It was a big mistake. One of them should have come with me. So this kid's now seen a kid paralyzed, 2 to 3 times his size, collapsing on the road. He's freaking out, thinking, I'm dying. He's speaking in French. My frère, c'est fini sur la plage. He's speaking that his brothers could be killed. I'm going, no, ambulance, gendarme. No, they're okay. They've got full wetsuits. But the kid just panicked. He was only a young kid. Ran back onto the beach, down to the boat, and began poling back out to the outer reef through the lagoon. I'm lying on the side of the road thinking, oh, goodness sake, I feel so tired. As I began to lie down, this sense of tiredness hit me so strong. And my eyes began to close, and I heard a man speak to me to my right. He said, son, if you close your eyes, you shall never awake again. I'm going, what the heck's that? It was like an invisible voice, because when I looked, there was no one there. So I'm thinking, you idiot, you can't sleep here. You're a lifeguard. This isn't sleep. This is a coma, certain death. So I almost slapped myself to reality. I believe had I not heard that voice right there, I would have died on the beach, just on the side of the road there. The lifeguards in Australia said, if you hit in the neck, 3 to 4 minutes. The neurotoxin straight to the brain, straight to the heart, you're dead. Hit an extremity, normally 10 to 15 minutes, people slip into a coma and never come out. So they actually teach the lifeguards to slap them, and they even carry serum amulets to actually inject them immediately, because if you don't get the antitoxin in quickly, the chances of survival is very low. So here I am fighting off this tiredness, hearing this voice talking to me. So I stagger down the road and find 3 East Indian taxi drivers in a small petrol station, Caltex. They said, oh, you drunk? Because I'd staggered towards them. No, I'm not drunk. Showed them I'm being hit by shark, jellyfish. But of course, the Indians are not divers, they're not swimmers. They said, well, we take you. How much money you pay us? I'm dying, man. $50, 100 US. They said, well, let me see your money. Show me your money now. And of course, I don't have $100 on me. I said, look, I don't have it on me. All 3 of them just walked away laughing. And then I heard a voice, the same man, like he's right behind me. He said, son, are you willing to beg for your life? I thought, beg for your life? That's a brilliant idea. I hadn't thought of it. Turn around, having a conversation with this guy, and there's again the invisible man. There's no one there. I have no idea that God can speak, mate.
What I love about this moment is that you're a self-confessed atheist, yet you're hearing a voice from another realm.
Well, it's interesting. I found out later that my sheep hear my voice.
Yeah.
Well, I was a black sheep. Why is God speaking to a complete heathen like me? Then I found out that Jesus goes looking for the lost sheep.
Were you aware in the moment that that was God?
No, not at all. There was someone outside of me talking to me, and it was smart.
Yeah.
It just stopped me from dying. I'm now being told beg. I thought, that's a brilliant idea. So I dropped to my knees, grab my paralyzed arm, cup it, and beg. I've got the attention of 3 Indian taxi drivers. 2 of them walk away. Third one, obviously shaken, goes, is this guy for real? I'm going, mate, fair dinkum, I'll die if you don't help me. To my amazement, he walks straight towards me, helps me into the taxi, and off we go. And I'm going, mate, just keep calm. So this guy's now chatting away, saying, oh, where's your hotel room, Umber? How am I going to get paid by you? Where's your money? And I just ignore him. And then he gets more and more irate, because I just don't want to waste the time talking. I'm dying. And I said, look, mate, I don't stay in a hotel. I live in Tamarin Bay. As we're coming up to Tamarin Bay, he said, oh, you stay in the hotel here? I said, no, mate. I live with the Creoles. Wrong answer. He said, you're tourists. I said, no, I'm a traveller, surfy. Wrong answer. So he said, no, I not take you further. You lie to me. I take you to the hotel here. The tourists, they look after you. How come you not pay me my money?
So you're dying.
And I'm arguing with the taxi driver about flipping going to the hospital or and dumping him at the nearest tourist hotel.
Maybe some compassion might have been helpful at this point.
Money talks, mate. I mean, poor people, things get desperate.
But it does just sort of emphasise the fact that the odds were stacked against you.
Yeah, well, I was not having a good night, to put it bluntly. Things weren't exactly going smoothly. Anyhow, he pulls into the village. Well, at least I know everyone in the village. I mean, you swing a cat and it's so small. Pull in front of the small hotel, which I know, a small Chinese hotel, Tamarin Bay Hotel, and said, get out. Well, I try. My left leg, to my horror, completely numb. Can't feel anything from my waist down. I'd felt the poison go through my lymph system. I'd done veterinary science university at Lincoln, so I had some idea of my own physiology. Here I am, fighting for my life, telling him, mate, my legs are paralysed, can't get out. He opens the door and pushes me out. Oh, I was unprepared for that. If my right arm wasn't paralyzed, I would have grabbed him and brought him with me, but I was just bracing the fall of my left hand, which was still working. I hit the deck, my feet were caught in the door sill, literally just paralyzed, couldn't feel them. He leans over, looks me in the eyes, picks my feet out, biffs them out of the car, shuts the door and drives off. Oh, they didn't even have the audacity to, the courtesy to toot a horn or get out and say, this kid needs help. Just left me for dead in the car park. I'm lying there thinking, well, mate, if I'm not afraid to die, if that's how humanity, that's how fellow man treats fellow man, do yourself a favour and die here. So as I'm lying on the ground, I thought, well, Granddad fought through Gallipoli, 2 world wars. What am I doing? His grandson giving up over 5 miserable jellyfish things. Mate, what kind of wuss are you? You've got 1 good arm. You might as well die trying. So I began dragging myself along the ground. As I maybe got a couple of feet, not very far. To my amazement, I saw coming out of the hotel 2 security guards with their torches. I thought, well, that's hopeful. One of them shines over and sees me. And I hear the familiar voice of one of the Creoles from the village, Danielle, a night diver. He said, Yusufa, man, what happened? I never see you like that. What you do on the ground, bro? He's thinking I'm stoned or wasted. He's never seen me like that.
Finally, a friendly friend.
Friendly. Oh, he's laughing. He's thinking I'm drunk, but he's never seen me in this condition, so he's a bit surprised. As he runs over laughing, he sees the mark of the jellyfish, and in French, he goes, invisible, pas bon, c'est fini. You dive with Simon. He's putting it together. He said, this one kill you, brother. This one kill you. How come you not know? I said, I not know this one. He grabs me in his arms, carries me quickly into the hotel. Late at night, tourists have gone to bed. The owners, the family, the 3 men, are playing mahjong. So my friend puts me next to them in a chair, and they said, what's wrong with you? You drunk? I said, not drunk. I've been hit by 5 invisible jellyfish, deadly. I need a hospital now. The young Chinese man looked at me, he stood up, he said, oh, stupid boy. Stupid boy. Why you put the needle in the arm? All men take opium with pipe. Why you put the needle? I'm thinking, you think I'll put heroin in? Oh, my goodness sake. I said, mate, this is not heroin. This is not smack. This is a jellyfish. And he sits down and ignores me. I'm then sitting there going, where's Danielle? I don't realize I can't see him. And then my body begins to shake. My right hand begins to, muscles begin to contract and spasms. Chest, lower jaw, involuntarily begins to smash up. Next minute, my whole body is shaking so violently, I can't stop it. And these men run and try and restrain me, but I'm throwing them off. Then as soon as it started, it stopped, and I went absolutely deathly cold. Right in my bone marrow, I felt death. The core of I was freezing. I said, blankets. They ran and got blankets. One came back with a glass of milk thinking I'd ingested a poison, tries to pour it down my throat. I said, mate, it's in my blood. I have to get to the hospital. I could see his Mercedes-Benz in the car park because I lived in the village. He was about one of the only with a car. I said, sir, can you take me in your car to the hospital or I'll die in front of you? He looked at me, put his hand on my shoulder, said, oh, my car? No. Wait for ambulance. Don't worry. Be happy. Flipping. Mate, I was pretty laid back.
Because this is quite a long time now from when you were actually stung.
Absolutely.
And
now I'm in the death rattles and got necrosis hitting my bone marrow.
Exactly. So we're talking a long time now.
It's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but I'm now in the point of death throngs. I've just gone into the death rattles. And this turkey's told me he's not going to take me in his car. So I'm just about to whack him, and I'll hear this voice say, son, if you hit him, the toxin's so close to your heart, the adrenaline rush will kill you. I thought, what?
And that was the same voice?
This is the same voice. This is the third time. So I'm getting irritated now. I'm about to drop him and pull him into my forehead and give him a headbutt, you know what I mean? Because my right arm is paralyzed. I was going to pull him down. And this voice is saying, if I did that, I'll die right now. So I took a deep breath. I thought, well, if I control my anger, look away, and survive this, I could get him later. Plan B.
Plan B.
So I turned. I mean, Christians are taught to turn the other cheek. Non-Christians make it with a baseball bat or a crowbar. So I'm facing here, not looking at him because I'll lose the plot. And to my amazement, into the car park comes an ambulance. Danielle runs out of the reception. I put two together. The guy's called the hospital.
Wonderful.
So he's carrying me into the ambulance. As we're racing towards the hospital, I start seeing my life go before me. What now?
So that really does happen.
I didn't recognise it to begin with because our parents had box brownie cameras in those years. Shows you how old I am. You can see them in the op shops. And so I'm watching my life go before me, and I suddenly go, my God, that's me. That's yours truly. I thought, man, this happens before you snuff it. I thought, if I died right now and don't even make it to the hospital, is there life after death or is there nothing? I thought, well, there's nothing. I'm convinced there's nothing. The worms get you, just a jar of ashes or whatever. I thought, but I'm a gambling atheist. And the gambling part of me going, son, you've been wrong before. So the atheist saying there's nothing, all sweet. The gambler's going, mate, could be. There's a shot. And I thought, well, I've heard enough isms: Buddhism, Taoism, humanism, Darwinism, Confucianism, mate, they all seem confusing. So I lay there and thought, well, I wouldn't have a clue, mate. I'm not afraid to die. I'll soon find out if there is life after death. Next minute, who appears in front of me? My mum.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, that hit me. Here's mum on her knees in her bedroom with her hands in this position. And she looks straight at me, straight in the face, as if I'm literally talking to her, and said, Ian, no matter how far from God you may be, son, no matter what you've done wrong in your life, if you call out to God from your heart, God will hear you and he'll forgive you. Well, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I had no idea until I got back to New Zealand at this precise moment. My mum is seeing my face. God saying, your elder son Ian is nearly dead. Pray for him now. I've talked to many mothers. They seem to know when something's wrong with their child. They could be a million miles away from them, but it seems as though women have a sense when there's something not right with their kids. My dad didn't have a clue what was going on. It's typical for most men. So he's following mum into a bedroom. She's on her knees. She's praying. Somehow God supernaturally takes my mum and her prayer into an ambulance where I'm asking, is there life after death?
So you're on the point of death. You feel the death in your bones. It's coming up your body. You start seeing your life go past you like a movie, and then all of a sudden, was that like a vision that you had?
Oh, absolutely. It was as though she was there.
Yeah.
It was as though she was there.
She was right there.
It's like her world superimposed, like the Matrix. Her world superimposed into my world in that ambulance, and I'm talking to her face to face.
And so when your mum starts telling you about that truth, call out to God, what happened in your inner being at that point?
She's saying, call out to God, and I'm saying, Mum, too late. I'm absolute, been there and done that. It would be a hypocrite asking God to forgive me, having done what I've done. And my mum said, son, call out to God, he'll forgive you. I'm thinking, well, if there is a God, Mum, which one? So many to choose from. So I lay there and said, God, if you're real, if you exist, show yourself.
Wow.
And I'll pray. I need to see to believe.
Yeah.
Now's a great chance. Show yourself. As I lay there, no one appeared except Mother. I thought, well, Mum's not God, but she's a Christian. She's a genuine, this is not some hypocrite, not some religious nutter. This is a genuine woman who's so loving and kind. If there is a God out there, she certainly is a great ambassador for him. She gave me hope for humanity, that there's something good on the planet. Yeah. So I'm lying here reflecting on her life, her person, her gentleness, and I thought, there could be a God. She prays to Jesus. Well, what have I got to lose? As a gambler, you'd be silly not at least having a crack at it. You put all your numbers up on one, all your chips up on one. So I thought, well, Mum prays to Jesus. Okay. She taught me as a little boy the Lord's Prayer when I was a young boy. She used to kneel by us by the bed. Why not pray that? Nothing to lose. Try to pray. Mind completely blank. You ever had that in an exam room? Some people call it senior moments, but whole thing blank. My mum seemed to know exactly what was happening. She said, Ian, don't pray from your head. Call out to God from your heart.
Powerful.
I thought, my heart, Mum, it's like stone. I'm so cynical. I'm so unbelieving. You could strike a match in my heart. And I thought, but God, if you exist, if you see anything good in my heart, help me to pray. As I said that, instantly, words appeared in front of me, like words of light. Forgive us our trespasses and sins.
So when you say words of light,
Well, you see on the Star Wars, this is before Star Wars came, you know, they had it on the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
they
saw
literally,
words
I
like
saw
that.
the words. I looked at them and I thought, man, that's not the beginning of the prayer. But that's part of the Lord's Prayer. Okay, God, I don't know if you can. I have no time to list my sins because it's too many. But if you can forgive me, please forgive me all of my sins. There are many. The words instantly disappeared. Next minute, more words. Forgive those who have trespassed and sinned against you. I thought, well, that's easy. I'm not a revengeful or vindictive man by nature. I can forgive anyone, no matter what they've done to me. As I said that, the face of the Indian taxi driver appeared a foot away from mine. I thought, what is he doing here? And the voice said, will you forgive this man for pushing you out of his taxi tonight and leaving you for dead in front of the hotel? I said, you must be joking. Oh, I don't know if you ever get kick off, but mate, I was about to kick off. That's just a vision, but I got the guy. Next minute, the Chinese hotel owner pops up next to him, and the voice said, will you forgive this man for not taking you in his car tonight and leaving you to die in the hotel? I thought, actually, forgiveness was not the top of the list. I was going to lay my hands upon them, but not like the vicar. This is now the fourth time I've heard this voice. Now, I've mumbled off the Lord's Prayer a million times. I mean, I'm now figuring out the voice could be God. It takes a while to join the dots.
Right.
But that voice I heard on the beach, this voice is now associating himself with what my mother calls the Lord's Prayer that Jesus taught his disciples. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I actually can't just say, oh yeah, I forgive anybody. This needs to come from my heart, and this is specific. And I thought, my goodness sake, these men are just the tip of the iceberg. I've got a few other people on my hit list.
Absolutely. You cannot go through life. We can't go through life without experiencing humanity at its worst, you know.
Well, unforgiveness. I mean, here I've asked forgiveness for my sins, repentance. Now God's saying, now, guess what, son? Now you forgive others that have ripped you off, backstabbed you, abused you. I'm thinking, no way, Jose. And God's saying, well, then you get no more of the prayer. I didn't realize Jesus said, if you don't forgive others,
He can't forgive you.
He won't forgive you your sins.
Yeah.
Oh, catch 22. And on the cross, he's going, Father, as they've been crucifying him, forgive them. So I'm here joining Sunday school stories and
it's all starting to add up now.
And I'm going, mate, if I don't forgive them, I won't get more of the prayer. I'll die in my unforgiveness and bitterness and anger. And I've seen people die that way, bitter. So I lay there and thought, okay, God, I don't want to forgive them, but if you can forgive me, that'd be an absolute miracle. All my sins, then I in my heart find the compassion to forgive them for what they've done to me. I'll never touch them, never seek them out, never harm them all the days of my life. Let them go. As I said that as best I could, the words disappeared and the faces disappeared.
Interesting.
Next words, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I thought, that's God's will. So far it's been my will done on earth, and it's got zip to do with heaven. I'm independent, self-sufficient, proud of it. I do it my way. A bit like Frank Sinatra. I mean, he sang about it.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I do it my way. That means if I do it's God's way, I've got to somehow find out what the heck he's doing up there in heaven and try and live it on earth. I thought, that'll cramp your lifestyle somewhat. And it won't be just 1 hour on Sunday, stand up, sit down and kneel. This is going to radically change my life. This was even harder, if I pray this prayer and surrender my life to the Lordship of Christ. Never done it. Yeah. It's called, you got to admit you're wrong, humble yourself. And for men, it's obviously quite easy for them to admit they're wrong. Sure, mate. I mean, it's hard, mate. You're just taught to be staunch and, just life. So I lay there and said, God, mate, outside of miracle, I'm not going to make it. I'm nearly dead. If you can help me through this experience, I'll find out what you're doing, what your will is, and I'll try and live it all the days of my life.
So that sounds like you're doing a bit of a bargain with God.
Well, I think I'm trying to understand the prayer. It's not a bargain. It's literally, it's humbling yourself and actually understanding the prayer and praying it from your heart.
Great.
Where most people, I think God said, men honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. But from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. God looks at the heart. A lot of people say a lot of stuff. So I realized, let your words be from your heart.
Yes.
Let them be real.
Yes.
So God's looking for that. He
Yes.
says, are you really repenting of your sin? Are you really forgiving others? And are you really willing to humble yourself and follow me? Are you willing to get off your throne and get up and surrender? I thought, okay, yeah, I'm willing to do that. I need you. Then the whole prayer came, and for the first time in my life, I prayed the Lord's Prayer from my heart. And people say, how did that happen? I said it was like slow motion in the Matrix.
Interesting.
And I've talked to many people who've died, and all of them will tell you in those dying moments, time slows down. I'd been in a car wreck years before, and the car had rolled 3 or 4 times. And I remember distinctly how everything went into slow motion. So here in that ambulance, time slowed down. God's incredibly gracious. He wishes none to perish. So he's reaching out, because he's infinite, outside of time, to try and save men's souls in battle, in car accidents, even when they're trying to take their lives. He can be reaching in there and trying to save them.
So what you're saying is everything happens in a split second in the natural.
Yeah.
But you enter a different realm where time slows down.
Absolutely.
And there's expansion, and there's a whole lot goes on.
Because more grace is given in those dying seconds than perhaps your entire life. But don't leave it to the last second. But here, for me, it was the last second. So here I am. Mum's praying on the other side of the world. I'm responding, because Mum can't save me. I have to respond myself. Her prayers brought me to at least a point where maybe there is a God, where I could even deal with my own humanity, my own sinfulness, my own anger, my own hatred. And so here I'm releasing that. The prayers coming, and when the movie The Matrix came out, I remember thinking, it's exactly right. When Neo's diving for that bullet, exactly right. And as I said, I've talked to so many people who had heart attacks, head-on collisions, been in war. All of them tell you the same thing. And so the prayer I pray, an incredible peace enters me. And in 40 years, that peace hasn't left me. Because Jesus said, I'm the Prince of Peace. Peace I give you, not of this world. I'd look for peace, mate, inner peace. I'd tried so many different avenues. So here I am now finding a peace entering me. I'm going, what a bizarre thing to find out in your dying seconds. God lives. He exists. He's real. He can talk to you. And I'm about to die. How bizarre. Yeah. So suddenly the ambulance stops, the doors swing open, they lift me into a wheelchair, race me into the accident emergency. Now I'm back in real time, fighting for my life.
So now you're back into this conscious place.
Oh, 100%.
You're in the hospital room, and
I'm in the A&E. I haven't even got they're now where the ambulance drivers bringing in the nurses now. You don't get to see doctors. I mean, you're seeing nurses. Blood pressure, no pulse. Another machine, no pulse. Nurse freaking out, shaking it, hitting the glass where the mercury's supposed to move. Wow. So I'm in what you call a crash mode. This is serious.
Yeah.
Ambulance driver knows what's happening. The nurse, obviously a novice, didn't have a clue. He rips it off, pushes her out of the way, and runs me straight through to the doctors. So the doctors see me, blood pressure results. I don't know if I can speak, and I mumble, I've been stung by stung jellyfish.
Yeah.
I need anti-serum now. I'm amazed that I can even get those words out, because the rest of me feels absolutely paralyzed. The doctor sees my blood pressure results, none, which happens in the extremities, races towards me, pushes the ambulance driver out of the way, and then runs down the corridor screaming for help. I got another old doctor with me. They're running into a room. He starts filling up the syringes. I'm thinking, mate, he hasn't even waited for the nurses. And then he starts shoving them in. Next minute, nurses and all these appear from nowhere. I'm like a pincushion as they're shoving in. He said, this is dextrose for dehydration. This is anti-serum for the poison. Son, keep your eyes open. Do not close your eyes or you will die in front of us. We're going to try and save your life. Well, I'd heard that back on the beach.
You had.
So they shoved me in. The veins have collapsed, so they can't even get a line in. They're trying to manually massage what they're putting in into my veins, but it's rolling off their thumbs. I'm looking, I can feel no difference. I feel myself literally coming almost out of my body. And I'm thinking, yeah, nah, that's dead. This is not astral projection. This is not some new age witchy-poo stuff. This is the real deal. If I leave, I'm dead. So I'm fighting for my life. Next minute, they lift me, put me on a bed and standing over me, talking to me, trying to keep me alive.
Awake.
But the problem is the poison now is moving so deeply, I can't even keep my eyelids open. I can feel the neurotoxin going through the capillaries and my eyelids are getting heavier. I'm thinking, yeah, no, keep them open. Stay awake all night. So I am literally fighting to keep my eyes open and I can't. So I remember closing them, thinking I'll find some extra strength like a power nap. As I close my eyes to find some strength, instantly the machine's monitoring my heart flatline. I feel this amazing sense of freedom or release that I don't have to fight any longer. In a split second, I'm out of my body. Now, you may have heard of people how they can be 10, 15 feet above their body looking down. And they can tell you, the doctors, what they're saying, the nurses, everywhere it's positioned. And of course, what's happened is that the human spirit has left the body. And the Bible teaches that when a man dies, the spirit leaves his body. And it says, Jesus said, I'm the resurrection of life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, yet they shall live. So whether you believe in Christ or not, when you die, your spirit will leave your body. Where it goes is another question.
That's right.
But at the point, I could see, oh my God, I'm dead, but I'm alive. Out of the hospital in a split second, gone by.
So this is such an exciting story, and I'm just going to take a pause here, and we're gonna come back in the next episode and hear what happened next.
Excellent.
What I want to pull out of your story today, that the what you've shared so far, is that you were an atheist, a non-believer,
until I died.
Until you died.
Deathbed prayer.
Deathbed prayer.
Just like the sinner on the cross.
Praying mother.
Yep.
And I'm just aware, even in my life, had a praying mother. I had
We
years,
wouldn't be here otherwise.
I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing if I hadn't had a mother that prayed for me.
Absolutely.
Especially when I was off doing my own thing, not really following God, not following faith at all. And I just am so aware that there are many people watching that are in exactly the same position. They have praying mother, but they're not people of faith.
That's absolutely right.
And I'm just wondering if you could just speak to our viewers today and, from your heart, what was it that really grabbed you about what your mother said that turned you from an atheist into a seeker in that moment?
I think the greatest part of that is my mum and her life, and the way she was a very quiet woman. She's not a demonstrative person, but I think her key was that she prayed and she loved, and love is the greatest. And I sensed a love that was almost not of this world, and I now realize what she'd tapped into. She'd found the love of God. I remember talking to her about it, and I said, how did you come to know the Lord? She said, well, my mother died, and I'd lost my father as a young woman, heart attack. So I was an only child, devastated. My mum's now gone. And so she said, I got on my knees, had not been brought up in a religious or church background, and prayed in my bedroom and said, God, if you're real, please reveal yourself to me. And she said, in that bedroom, the Lord spoke to me and revealed himself to me. That's why I've been taking you to church. That's why I've been doing, reading the Bible to you and praying with you each night. I went, oh my goodness sake. And I said, Mum, what was key to you? She said, your great-grandmother, Nan. She was the one who was praying for me. She came into the family, that's on my father's side, and she had a massive impact upon me as a young woman, married with kids. And she said, I then began to pray for you guys. And I said, Mum, your love, your incredible power of your prayers have changed me forever. And I believe most people have got that. A friend, a neighbor, a loved one, an auntie. Who knows what prayers have been prayed? It could even be a generation before, praying for everyone, praying for the grandchildren, praying for the great-grandchildren, interceding. That prayer, we're here because someone's prayed for us.
Yeah. And that, I think, is such an important truth, but also what a fantastic reassurance that in a world where there's trouble and strife and there's need and pain, but knowing the reassurance that maybe the generations before or our own relatives are there praying for us. And what I'm hearing in your story is the incredible power of prayer. I just want to give you an opportunity to speak to our viewers today and what would you say to those people who are atheists, people who don't believe, or even those who are actually seeking the reality of God, seeking the truth? What would you say to them today?
I think the heart is the key. So from the heart is the wellspring of life, and it says, watch over your heart. So my prayer for you is that that your heart would be opened, and that the love of God would touch you, and that you would have ears to hear His Spirit and eyes to see, that there'd be a personal revelation. It says the eyes of our heart to be opened, to have revelation into the realm of the Spirit. And many of you mostly had friends, family, loved ones, grandparents who are praying for you, and they love you. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. You choose to follow Him. And Lord, I just pray that you would minister to their hearts, heal broken hearts, bind up wounds, help them forgive for the atrocious things that have been done to them, beyond comprehension. But Lord, you weep with those who weep, and you love. Your love is eternal. Your love is incredibly healing. So I pray you begin to touch them deep inside, past the intellect, past the arguments, but touch them deep in their heart of hearts, and let healing love flow, the araha of heaven flow into the core of their being. In Jesus' precious name. Amen.
You've heard an incredible part one of Ian McCormack's testimony of dying and realizing there's a God, hearing God's voice, seeing his mother praying for him. Come back next week and hear the conclusion of what happened when he started to lift off out of his body and actually ascend into heaven. So tune in next week to hear the rest of this incredible story.
Ignite TV is a non-profit and is funded by its viewers. If you've been blessed today by what you have viewed, we invite you to give via pushpay or bank transfer. We appreciate your generosity in helping make Ignite TV happen.